At just 6 years old, his life was already about defying death on the tightrope, with applause and the circus tent as his entire world. But destiny had something very different in store for him. He was not meant for spectacle, but to forge the most feared human weapon of the Red Army. How did an acrobat use the secrets of balance and strength, learned under the big top, to design a martial art that would not only dominate combat, but also be classified as a state secret? This is the incredible story of Anatoly Kharlampiev and the creation of Sambo, martial might, where warriors live forever. To understand the man who designed one of the deadliest martial arts of the 20th century, you don't need to look in an ancestral dojo or a sacred temple. The answer lies in his family and in the circus ring. Anatoly Kharlampiev was born in 1906 in the Russian Empire, and strength ran in his blood. His grandfather, Georgy Kharlampiev, was a gymnast and a legendary bare-knuckle fighter. It was said he could stop a troika of horses with his bare hands and bend coins with his fingers. His father, Arkady, was a true pioneer. He was sent to Paris to study art, but when he ran out of money, he stepped into the professional boxing ring to survive. And he didn't just survive. He became the boxing champion of France and later of all Europe. When he returned to Russia, he devoted himself to popularizing boxing, becoming one of the founders of the Russian boxing school. With such heritage, Anatoly's path seemed written. From an early age, he was trained by his father and grandfather, but his first professional stage was the most unexpected of all. By the age of 6, he was already an aerial acrobat under the circus tent. There, suspended in the air, he learned lessons no gym could teach him: absolute body control, an almost supernatural balance, and an intuitive understanding of weight and leverage. By 16, Anatoly was not only an acrobat, he was a complete athlete, an expert boxer, and a formidable wrestler. But the world he knew was about to collapse, and a new brutal reality would demand that his talents serve a much darker purpose. The October Revolution had shattered the old Russian Empire, and from its ashes arose a new power, the Soviet Union. This state, forged in war, faced a colossal challenge: to control its vast and diverse territory and defend against external enemies. It needed a new kind of soldier. The Red Army and its feared secret police, the NKVD, required a hand-to-hand combat system superior to all others. Bolshevik leader Vladimir Lenin tasked his military experts with creating a unique fighting system, one unmistakably Soviet. It wasn't just about self-defense. It was about ideology and national survival. The system had to be lethal, efficient, and above all, simple enough to teach millions of recruits from the steppes of Central Asia to the industrial cities of the Urals. The task was monumental. How do you create a martial art from scratch? The Soviet answer was pragmatic and direct: analyze, break down, and absorb whatever worked. A nationwide and international search began to find the most effective fighting techniques and merge them into a single, devastating discipline. This was the call to adventure, not just for one man, but for an entire nation. And at the center of this creative storm stood 3 key figures, 3 founding fathers whose work, conflicts, and collaboration would give birth to Sambo. The myth often places Anatoly Kharlampiev as the sole father of Sambo, but the truth is far more complex and interesting. He was the final piece of a 3-man puzzle. The first pioneer was Viktor Spiridonov, a World War I veteran and decorated officer. A bayonet wound had left his left arm crippled, forcing him to develop a combat system that didn't rely on brute strength, but on technique and redirecting the opponent's energy. His softer, more technical style was called Samos, designed for the secret police units. The second, and perhaps the most technically influential, was Vasily Oshchepkov. Oshchepkov seemed like a movie character. a spy and martial arts expert who was one of the first non-Japanese to study judo directly at the prestigious Kodokan Institute in Tokyo under its founder Jigoro Kano. There, he achieved the rank of Nidan, second-degree black belt, something almost unthinkable for a foreigner at the time. Upon returning to the USSR, he was tasked with training elite Red Army troops, blending judo discipline with more direct combat techniques. And then came Anatoly Kharlampiev. If Spiridonov was the strategist and Oshchepkov the technical master, Kharlampiev was the great synthesizer and, most importantly, the man with the political connections. As a student of Oshchepkov himself, Kharlampiev embarked on an epic journey. For years, he traveled across the vast Soviet republics, from the Caucasus to Siberia, collecting and cataloging folk wrestling styles. He studied Georgian chidaoba, Armenian kok, Mongolian kapsagai, and many others. He broke down every hold, every throw, every takedown, searching for the essence of why they worked. The relationship between the three men was complicated. Oshchepkov and Spiridonov worked separately and sometimes had opposing visions, but it was Kharlampiev, with his tireless research and his ability to maneuver within the Soviet system, who finally united all these currents. This mix of personalities and techniques was about to create something entirely new. Stories like this, about how an idea can change the military power of a nation, are simply fascinating. If you're passionate about martial arts and the hidden stories behind them, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. The crucible was ready. Oshchepkov's judo techniques, with their throws and ground control, Spiridonov's efficiency-based strategy, and Kharlampiev's vast catalog of regional wrestling, all merged. The result was a lethal hybrid, a combat system like no other. It was a martial art that took judo hip throws, the brutal leg locks of Turkic wrestling, and a practical mindset of military combat. Its name was an acronym that said it all: Sambo, from Samozashchita bez orужия, meaning self-defense without weapons. November 16th, 1938 is the official date of its birth. On that day, Anatoly Kharlampiev, using his position, officially presented Sambo to the Soviet Sports Committee, which recognized it as the official combat sport of the USSR. It was a massive political victory. While Spiridonov remained in the shadows and Oshchepkov suffered a tragic fate, accused of being a Japanese spy. He died in a gulag in 1937. It was Kharlampiev who survived and ensured that Sambo not only existed, but thrived. Today he is remembered as the father of Sambo, not because he was the sole creator, but because he gave it a name, a structure, and most importantly, a future. The Soviet secret weapon had been forged and approved by the Kremlin. After its official recognition, Sambo split into two paths. The first was Sport Sambo, the version Kharlampiev promoted as a national sport. Competitions were organized, federations created, and Sambo became a tool for the physical education of the Soviet masses. This style, similar to judo, but with rules allowing a wider range of leg locks, spread across the Soviet Union. But in the shadows, another path existed: Combat Sambo. This was the original military version, the reason it was created. Combat Sambo had no sporting restrictions. It included punches, kicks, elbows, knees, even headbutts, and weapon disarm techniques. It was a total combat system, designed with one goal: to neutralize an opponent, armed or unarmed, in the shortest time possible. This style became the exclusive domain of the Red Army, Spetsnaz units, and the KGB. Its effectiveness was a closely guarded state secret, a silent weapon giving Soviet forces a terrifying edge in close-quarters battle. For decades, while Sport Sambo appeared in tournaments, its deadlier counterpart was refined in secret within Warsaw-packed barracks. The world barely knew of its existence, but that was about to change with the fall of the Iron Curtain. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, Sambo's secret was finally revealed to the world. And it didn't take long to prove its devastating effectiveness on the most demanding stage of modern combat, mixed martial arts, MMA. One name stands above all as the first great ambassador of Sambo worldwide, Fedor Emelianenko. For nearly a decade, the last emperor dominated the heavyweight division with chilling calm, combining explosive speed with seamless transitions from striking to takedowns and submissions. As a four-time world combat Sambo champion, Fedor showed that this art was not just about grappling, but a complete fighting system. More recently, another force of nature carried on his legacy. Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Eagle, used his Sambo base to unleash relentless pressure and ground control never before seen in the UFC's lightweight division. With an undefeated record of 29 victories, Khabib retired as one of the most dominant fighters in history, a direct product of the Sambo system his father perfected in the mountains of Dagestan. Fighters like Fedor, Khabib, Oleg Taktarov, and Rustam Khabilov are not just champions. They are living proof of the Soviet experiment's success. They showed that a martial art born of military necessity and perfected in secrecy could indeed dominate the world. The story of Anatoly Kharlampiev is a true odyssey. It is the story of how skills learned on a circus tightrope, balance, strength, body awareness, became the foundation of a combat system feared by armies. Kharlampiev didn't just create a set of techniques. He helped forge a weapon, a philosophy, and a symbol of Soviet power that, decades later, still casts its shadow over the fighting world. From the circus tent to the Kremlin halls, and from there to the cages of MMA, the journey of Sambo is an incredible example of innovation, adaptation, and the relentless pursuit of effectiveness. What do you find most impressive about Sambo? Its origin as a fusion of styles or its effectiveness in MMA? Let me know your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into the hidden history of martial arts, don't forget to like and share this video. See you next time.